All right, welcome to your new module in our city and metro planning class. This is just going to go over a few key points from politics, from chapter 6, from the planning and politics section, particularly because in class one of you was asking a question. Well, what do you mean that planning happens in a political environment? So we'll go over that. So the learning objectives for this lesson are to list the reasons why planning takes place in a highly politicized environment. And then the other thing we're going to do is identify different styles of planning that a planner may adopt. And I know that you guys all have different career aspirations when you leave college, but for the purposes of this class, this semester, we are all going to be planners. So for this semester, you are an urban planner. So why is planning political? A few key reasons. Planning involves matters in which people have large emotional stakes. They care about the issues and the subject matter that planning is concerned with. And these would be things like the quality of a school district. I mean, you can see how people care deeply. They have emotional stakes in what kind of school their kids can go to. The whole character of a neighborhood. Where do you live? What kind of place do you live in? What do you have? What do you do? What do you not have? The entire um, composition of a neighborhood. People care about this stuff. And then urban renewal. If we haven't talked about that program yet in class, we can. This high emotional stakes here. So, second reason is planning decisions are visible. You can see them. I mean, we are talking buildings, we're talking roads, parks, if you have a park or not, where is it located, what's transportation like, are you always stuck in traffic, big buildings. I mean, this is stuff that people can see. You know, you're walking through your city, you can actually see the results of planning decisions. And so this is another reason people get involved. Okay, number 3, planning questions are more accessible to citizens than those that are handled at the state or national level. Since most urban planning is very local, it has to do with your local planning board. This is your city level as opposed to the whole state or the whole nation. So citizens feel, since it's closer to them, they feel more incentive to get involved in planning questions and planning issues. Number 4, citizens assume they know something about planning, even if they haven't studied it formally or have formal training or they haven't taken this class. So, we're talking subjects people think they know about. You know whether or not you're in traffic every day. You know whether or not your city feels welcoming, if it's got nightlife, can you get to a grocery store, do you have good schools? Like, you know something about how you think your city should be, even if you haven't been formally trained in urban planning. Okay, number 5, planning involves decisions with large financial consequences. I mean, think about these big projects, buildings, roads, parks. These are expensive. This is large sums of money we're talking about to kind of shape the urban landscape. And also connected with money is this strong link between planning and property taxes. The last point here on this slide is that people, this is very personal, very individual. The amount of property taxes you pay every year has to do with some of these parameters laid out by the urban planning process. So people care about money. So it gets very political. So these are just some of the reasons why planning is political. Okay, we'll go through 5 styles of planners. And so when we go through these, think about maybe what kind of planner you think you would be. And I said we're all going to be urban planners this semester. So try to think about which one you identify with more than others. So there's 5 different types that we're going to go through. The planner is neutral public servant. The planner is a builder of community consensus. The planner is entrepreneur. The planner is an advocate. And the planner is an agent of radical change. Okay, the first one. The planner is a neutral public servant. It's kind of what it sounds like, politically neutral. You're not taking one side or another. You're not getting involved in issues. You're just politically neutral. You are going to rely on your professional expertise, your professional training. You're probably a certified urban planner. You've got your master's degree in urban planning. You've got like the background of the education and the skills to do your planning. And really, what you want to do is just tell the community how to best do what it wants to do, what it wishes to do. So some community comes to you with a problem, says this is what we want. You're going to be like, okay, here's the best way to go about it. So a neutral public servant. So the planner is a builder of community consensus. What this means is the planner is really a broker between various interests, lots of different types of people in the city, lots of different interests. You're going to kind of negotiate those. You're going to build a community consensus, kind of like this idea of maybe one public good. You kind of weigh the options and try and think of one public good. But what this is different, instead of where the planner as being politically neutral. And this, the planner is part of the political structure where the decisions are made. This is a formal position. This is the way that the job of the planner is inserted into city hall, city government. Specifically, you're on these boards, you're on these committees. You are part of that political structure that makes the decisions. Okay, the planner is entrepreneur. This tends to happen to planners that are involved in economic development planning. Planners, they kind of find themselves in an entrepreneurial role. This doesn't mean you go out and start your own planning consulting firm, although it could be, but it's more of like you're involved in issues where you take on this entrepreneurial role where you're collecting parcels of land around the city, you're finding developers that want to come in and build something on this site. You're marketing that land. You've got assembled this land in your city that's like, okay, we've got this plot of land. We want a shopping center to go on this plot of land. You're going to go find developers to give you proposals, and you're going to negotiate these contracts. So this is kind of much more of an entrepreneurial, much more of like a business type function of the planner. And then there's also the planner as an advocate. Okay, so this one, the planner acts as a representative for certain groups or chooses interests, or chooses a certain group or chooses a certain interest and wants to advance their interests. So this is different from the planner as a neutral public servant. You're not neutral at all. You are going to pick one group. It could be more than one, but you're going to pick one group that you think is underrepresented and say, this is who I'm advocating for. I'm going to advocate for what this group wants in this city. And it sprang from the view, and this is not like elitist, this is more of it sprang from the view that there are groups in society that lack the strength and the political and economic strength to advance their own interests. So this is more like, I am going to be an advocacy planner. I'm going to advocate for the interests of the urban poor. I'm going to advocate for the interests of the homeless population, of the interests of a minority population that has been suffering the effects of urban renewal. So that's one way that you're going to advocate for the interests of a particular group that doesn't have the power to really advocate for themselves. As another way, a different way to think about this is you could be a planner that advertises for a particular project. What this means is like, if you're like, okay, I am all into parks. Parks are my thing, parks and recreation. I want parkland in my city. So you could advocate for that. And then, we talked about this is just a style of planner. So it's almost like, let's say Dr. Schreiber is a person that just always advocates for parks. So if we're sitting around a conference table and we've got all these plans, it's like, Dr. Schreiber is going to say, well, do you have any parks in that plan? I don't know. Maybe you didn't allocate enough space for parks or put enough emphasis on that. So you advocate for a particular type of project instead of a particular group of people. And all your other slides here have these kind of cartoon figures, but this picture, this guy Paul Davidoff, he is an advocacy planner. He's a famous planner that really kind of helped define what this means, advocacy planning. Okay, so the last one for you guys to consider is just the idea of a planner as an agent of radical change. I mean, this is like a radical political person. You want to promote big changes, political changes, economic changes is like a long-term goal for planning. And this type of planner sees that these kind of radical changes is totally proper, completely appropriate for planning goals. There's not actually too many planners that practice this, that take on this style. I think because they're like so radical politically that this type of person may get frustrated with like the formal structure of planning, that this is like your job within a government entity and there's rules and regulations. They might just get frustrated with that and choose to do their kind of political advocacy in a different way. And so that's it. That is your types of planners for you to consider. And now we'll move on in your next presentations to look at the social issues. So that'll make more sense, particularly with the advocacy planners.